10 o'clock. All right. Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful day.
Yes.
Welcome to South Carolina Department of Disabilities and Special Needs monthly meeting. At this time, I've already called everything to order. Notice of meeting statement. Commissioner Coher.
Meeting notice announcing the date, time, and place of September 21, 23. Commission meeting was distributed on September 19, 2023 to appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Office and on the website. The public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistance, or other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance.
Thank you. Everybody have their green on? Good.
My suit is, so we did all right.
All right.
It is a green for those that can't tell.
Well, the green is on the agenda. I just wanted to make sure everyone have their green on. All right, we're going to have the adoption of the agenda. Commissioners, have you had a chance to look the agenda over? Any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, Barry Melvers.
Commissioner Thomas, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to have the invocation by our Vice Chair, Commissioner
Well,
Willie.
actually, we need to say, we motioned in second, but we didn't vote for the agenda.
Okay, so moved. Second, all approved.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Aye.
Invocation by our Vice Chair, Commissioner Woodhead.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here today and being able to serve our community. We ask for your guidance, wisdom, and strength, and please give us the patience and understanding, allowing us to work together for the greater good. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. How do you want to do this, Commissioners? You want to approve all as one motion, or you want separate motion?
For the minutes.
Yes, approval of the meeting minutes, correct?
I have no problem with doing them together because they're now correct. The word "not" was put in like I needed it to, and so everything is good for me. So I would have no problem doing it both together.
Any other? Everybody else good?
That is fine.
Okay.
Do I have to make a motion that we accept those July and August minutes as written now, as of today?
Second.
You've heard the motion. Got a second? All in favor? Ayes have it. So ordered. Commissioners, let's do the update. We'll start with Commissioner Malphus.
Thank you, sir. I have a very quick one. It'll take but a second. I just wanted to say that there is a very interesting disabilities resource guide that Beaufort County has. I have not seen it before. It may have been around a while, but I would encourage all the county boards to have a resource guide, and this is a very good one and a very detailed one that they have. So if anybody's listening to me from my home county of Beaufort, we have a very good guide if anybody needs anything from DDSN. Thanks.
Commissioner Thomas?
I do not have anything new. Thank you.
Commissioner Coher?
I was totally introverted this past month and didn't do a thing.
Did you look at anybody's eyes?
Yeah, I did that.
Good. Vice Chairman?
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity just to, I know we have something later on the agenda for Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month, but obviously for those who know me, this month is near and dear to my heart just because I have a daughter with a spinal cord injury. She's now 5 years post, so I have my shirt representing her, but also representing others with spinal cord injuries. And I just want to say that, having this month, obviously I take advantage of it and, use social media and any avenues I can to just share awareness and also advocate for spinal cord injuries. and using social media is that, you can use it for a great platform, which I have sometimes to my daughter's dismay, because I share a lot of her stuff that she does. So she keeps me in check, but I like to share like her story, and someone told me very early on, and I've taken it to heart, that the biggest way to advocate and raise awareness is to share your story. So, sharing my story about my daughter, who is she's a C6, C7 quadriplegic spinal cord injury. She is the lowest part of the statistics because, one, she's a female, and two, she's also was hurt in her teenage years. So, that brings me into it a little bit more because as her mother, I think it's, and as every mother, it's our responsibility to, teach our children to adult, but now we have that added, I have that added to also teach her to raise awareness and advocate for herself, which she's doing an excellent job of. So I just wanted to just share that with you all, and it's a good month.
Thank you. On last Thursday, Director Holloway and I had the distinct privilege of going up to Witten Center for a groundbreaking ceremony. I have a golden shovel and a hard hat that I kept. So it was, but the good part about it is I want to first thank the executive staff, Director Holloway, and all that touched and made this groundbreaking. It's an interpretive sensory, for a person with that's in a wheelchair that can actually get on a swing or ride across concrete and know the difference in the texture. Those of us that have the limbs and the eyes to see, sometimes we don't know what a person, and my father used to say to me all of the time, Commissioner Coher, sometimes you got to lose your identity and become that person in order to know what that person, or get a sense of what that person is going through. And it was quite an affair, and I am very appreciative for the work that you guys do here, South Carolina Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. Director Holloway set the stage. I just talked. I just ran my mouth, but she set the stage. And from there, and let me just say to you all who some of the participants that held the shovel. Naturally, Constance, I didn't know that she knew how to even hold a shovel.
I did.
But she did an excellent job. I had the opportunity to ride with Rob, and that was a good hour and a half. And did I get an education about a whole lot of things? Hats off to Rob. But Craig Bird, our hats off to you and your entire staff. You did an excellent job, and we are appreciative here at headquarters. Randy Davis, he was the facility administrator. Clinton Mayor Randy Randall was there. South Carolina Representative Doug Gilliams, he was there. And Chairman Senator Daniel Verdon, he was standing next to me, and I had to show him how to use the shovel. But he did an excellent job. All right. And former Witten Parents Group President Linda Lee. How many of you know Linda Lee? She is quite a person. And naturally, yours truly was there. You all know who yours truly is. His name is Ed Miller. He was there, and he handled that shovel. Barry, I thought about you when I held that shovel.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Good.
All right.
I think.
And the the DNN Central Office staff, Rob McBurney, Derek Asbury, Sam, how does you pronounce Sam's last name?
Oh,
Sam K.
we just call him Sam.
PJ, and naturally, our own Tommy McDaniel. And they did a marvelous job, and hats off to this agency. So let's continue doing what we're doing. Thank you very, very much. Next item on the agenda, Barry, you'll keep me straight, right?
I'll try to.
Okay. Is public input.
Yes.
We have,
We have a public input, don't we?
do we have any public input?
That when we start talking,
That's what I meant.
you have it up there.
Yeah, that would be for you.
Okay, all right, now we're talking. Miss Lisa Lemon. She's from North Charleston, South Carolina. Am I correct?
Yes,
That's a beautiful place. I go there all of the time.
you have to come visit.
I get off on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know where that is?
I do, not far from the house. You can come and get some red rice and fish.
Now you're talking. So you have about 3 minutes, okay? And there won't be any response, but don't ever think that we don't hear you.
Okay.
Not only that, don't ever think that we don't act, okay? All right, the floor is yours.
All right. First, I want to say thank you to all of you. And I will say I have spasmodic dysphonia, so my voice is a little funny. But our son Derek Lemon is at Coastal Center, and we love Coastal Center. They've done a good job. There was just this one incident that we had recently that bothers us. Derek had the tip of his middle finger cut off. No one can tell us how it happened. If you look at the reports, it says it happened at a door, but that was guesswork. There was no blood found anywhere in the unit. So we were concerned about not knowing how it happened. But our bigger concern was that Derek was taken to the hospital in an ambulance with no one with him. Derek is nonverbal. Derek has cerebral palsy, which means he has gait issues. He's not the most fluid person when it comes to walking and moving. There was a point during this process that we could not find Derek. I wasn't even sure I was at the right hospital. So there was a lot of calls going back and forth. Where is my son? Where is my son? We finally found him. He was on a gurney by himself. The attending had already checked him out, but he was bleeding profusely. When Derek gets nervous, he has to go to the bathroom. So there was nobody to help get him out of that gurney, or to help guide him to the bathroom or tell him where the bathroom was. He was also subjected to experiment. And I say it like that because there was a student physician assistant there with the attending, and my husband asked, who will be stitching Derek up? The attending said it wouldn't be him. So we asked the student, doctor, would it be you? And his response was yes. Our response was, how many times have you done this before? The answer was yes. We said, how many times? He said once. I think he was shocked by the question because he wasn't expecting that question. And my husband said, no, the attending will do the work. My point in saying that is, with somebody that's nonverbal, that cannot take care of himself, that had to go to the hospital alone, he could not give his consent that this is who I want to work on me. He could not say, this is not who I want to work on me. Does he have the aptitude to understand what's being done to him? He does understand some, but he doesn't understand the ramifications of letting people do certain things to him who are not qualified. So he can't give informed consent. There's been a policy change at Coastal Center, and we've talked about it, that they don't go to the hospital with the consumers. And I know my time is up, but they need somebody with them is my point. They need help.
As you and I, and you see
And we
Mr.
get
Janice
it,
Priest.
and I thank you, yeah.
Yes, she will continue. She'll get with you, and we will do everything within our powers, okay?
Okay,
And we appreciate you coming, and feel free to stay if you would like to.
okay.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am, very much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Knuckles. Mr. You wanna leave?
Yeah,
They will call you.
Could I ask a question,
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
You know, the lady that was just there about the coastal individual who couldn't speak. I'm on the policy council with Dr. Cover, and Barry just left being chairman. I think we need to review what policy exists for when one of our clients who is at a facility has to leave on some emergency basis, that there ought to automatically be somebody with that person from the facility that's an employee to just make sure the transition is okay. What do y'all think about that? Should we look at that as a policy addition, Mr. Chairman, for the policy council?
We've discussed that with Janet, and that is the direction she's going to take charge, and then get with Coher and yourself and Commissioner Alfred, and then we're going to look into that as well. Okay.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. That's very alarming, and you know, my heart just went out for that boy when he's there, he's alone. That's a terrible feeling, and to leave someplace that he's secure, and then of course that leaves unanswered the question of how in the world did this happen. But I'm presuming the staff is looking at trying to figure that out. But the second part of the story is rather ghastly, that the poor fellow by himself, and I can just imagine he needs to go to the bathroom. He can't talk. Doesn't your heart just break for that? It just, boy. Okay, if we're going to have policy look at it, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, we will. Okay. Next item on the agenda is programs and services, tab 3, spinal cord injury awareness month. And everyone have their green on, right? Okay.
Good morning. I'm Melissa Ritter. I have the pleasure of working here at DDSN in our Head and Spinal Cord Injury Division. I'm excited to talk to you about Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month, as I always am. This year, our focus has been around adaptive sports for people with spinal cord injuries. So with assistance from DDSN's communication team, we had the opportunity to spotlight athletes with spinal cord injury from across the state. We've been able to hear from them what their experiences with adaptive sports have been and how those opportunities have improved their lives and the lives of others. You have at your seat a folder with those articles that we have with the athletes that we have spotlighted for this month, so I hope that you'll take some time to look at those. We've also found over the past few years that DDSN central office employees really like sweets. So we have taken the opportunity to have a fundraiser this month, and we will have a Sweets for Spinal Cords bake sale next Thursday for central office staff. We've had people from around the agency volunteer to bake items, and the staff will come through and purchase those items next week, and then we will donate all the proceeds to the South Carolina Spinal Cord Injury Association. So we're looking forward to that next week. Speaking of the South Carolina Spinal Cord Injury Association, I'd like to introduce you guys to Angela Rodriguez, who is their executive director. And she's here to talk to you today about the association, kind of what their role is, and then their involvement with adaptive sports. So this is Angela.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Columbia, South Carolina.
Thank you. I live in Columbia, so. So thank you anyway. Yeah, my name is Angela Rodriguez, and I'm with the South Carolina Spinal Cord Injury Association. And the South Carolina Spinal Cord Injury Association connects and empowers individuals impacted by spinal cord injury to pursue a meaningful and engaged quality of life. I'm here today because September is Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month. And I wanted to give you a little bit of insight about what we've done over the past 6 months, a little bit, kind of giving you some a little bit of information, and then I'll tell you about our SCI awareness activities for this month. In March, we held a mental health symposium. We connected people with spinal cord injury with mental health professionals. We used the morning to train mental health professionals on the topics that impacted the care of people with spinal cord injury. Then we brought volunteers with spinal cord injury to the group to discuss their own perceptions of spinal cord injury and mental health. It was a wonderful experience for all involved. The professionals thought it was a great opportunity for them to learn more about spinal cord injury and also other disabilities. In June, we held a well-attended adaptive sports day. We offered adaptive tennis, pickleball, rugby, and basketball. It was an entire day's worth of activities. We had lunch for everybody, and we also had off-road wheelchairs available for the participants to try out and see how that would work for them. This past Saturday, we held a wellness symposium where participants were able to meet one-on-one with wellness providers like acupuncture, nutritionists, dry needling, fitness evaluations, massage, and mental health. We scheduled the participants for every 20 minutes, and then they kind of rotated to the next station, you could say. Along with the providers, we also had vendor resources. Some of them that came was PALS, and also Encompass Health came and did blood pressure checks for us. And we also had the off-road wheelchairs there to be tried out at that time too. Excuse me. I want to let you know that we broke out our resource guide for September. We have if you find it, it's a booklet, and we will tell you that it's not complete yet. It is impossible to do a resource guide for everyone in the state in one complete booklet, but we will be doing some sheets, some resource sheets that will go into that can be used in the booklet. For SCI Awareness Month this month, we had a scavenger hunt in 4 cities. We had one scheduled for, it was all the same day. It was September 9th, and there was Charleston, Columbia, Greenville, and Rock Hill. And the people who participated had a wonderful time, and that was something really good. We've had webinars on different topics with one of them coming up is with Joe Pomeroy, who is in your packet, your green packet. He does hand cycling, and he's going to do a webinar on hand cycling for us. We also had on voting. Voting is my right was the topic or the title of that one. And we also had, what's that?
Sorry, did you say voting or?
Yes, voting. Yes, exactly. That was through Disability Rights South Carolina. And then we had another one, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it is. The association is a small organization. We have 2 staff, and we do an awful lot, I think, with 2 staff. We rely a lot on our volunteers. We focus on peer support. We have peer support groups throughout the state, and we also have mentoring. So we, if you know of anybody who needs to be, a little bit of assistance adapting to the spinal cord injury, this is where you might want to go. And if you know somebody who has already adapted well, they could be a mentor. So, yeah, just let us know. I appreciate your time. Is there any questions?
I guess y'all are a nonprofit organization, but the
Yes.
other question is, how do y'all get y'all's funding primarily?
Ours is primarily through grants.
You have an email distribution.
I do.
Yeah, I get that and I like it a lot.
Oh, good.
It does have a lot of good information in it.
Okay, great, great. I'm just glad it gets out to somebody.
Thank you.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a chairman's privilege here. And PJ is not here, but that PJ and the entire staff, they had all of the media there in Clinton, South Carolina. And he did him and whomever else was involved did an excellent job in making sure that what we do here at DDSN, the world knows about it. So we tip our hat to those that were putting and helping to make sure that the media was there. Next item on the agenda, Commission Committee Business, Finance Committee, and we'll have Chairman Woodhead.
I think I'm going to introduce Quincy to share. So we had our meeting last week, September 13th. We went over the spending plan versus actual, the contracts, which we had added the interagency contracts per Commissioner Malthus's request last month in our commission meeting, and then we'll go through your budget request.
Tab 4.
Approved. So yes, our
We'll
tab.
start with tab 4. You'll see the year-to-date performance of the adopted fiscal year 24 spending plan in an amount of $327 million. So through August 31st, the agency spent approximately $50 million in agency cash, which puts the agency under the commission-approved spending levels by approximately 1.27%.
This is only like 2 months in.
Yeah, that's
right?
only 2 months in, so yeah, we're still early in the fiscal year, but everything's tracking under budget, so we're okay. The next item is the contract report under tab 5. In the full commission meeting last time, August 17th, Commissioner Malthus, you asked for us to add the administrative contracts to that list. So we've added that to the top section. Next month's meeting, after the first quarter ends, we're going to add that expenditure column that you guys are used to seeing. And then that's normally provided on a quarterly basis. So we'll continue that track unless you guys need something additional.
And we'll know what percentage we're spent for the first quarter, right?
Exactly, yep. Yeah, we're exactly that. Yep. And so the main part of what I'm going to discuss today is our fiscal year 25 budget request. That's under tab 6. So agency budget plans are due to the Executive Budget Office tomorrow. So for priority 1, it's titled Supported Living Assistance. This decision package is designed to address the individuals currently receiving or awaiting community residential living. For most individuals, the Medicaid waiver residential habilitation service that covers the care, supervision, and skills training that's delivered to that individual. Medicaid does not cover the cost of room and board, as it's not a Medicaid eligible service. So we've seen that our provider network is reluctant to support individuals that may not be eligible for that monthly Social Security income benefit, and those individuals have no other means of paying room and board. So what I did was I took the monthly room and board costs and averaged them across the state, and that's how I came up with the $1.2 million. So currently our residential waiting list, there's about 48% that they don't have SSI benefits now. So we felt like this was important to have a conduit for providers to get some of that money, right? To offset those costs. So Monthly room and board costs include, but are not limited to, food, utilities, pest control, residential repairs and maintenance, lawn maintenance, household and cleaning supplies, property insurance, fire and security monitoring costs. So, like I said, this funding request is to assist 125 individuals who require residential services, but they don't have the means to pay for living and board costs, and which is maybe preventing them from obtaining residential. Number 2 is titled State-Funded Residential Services. So this decision package is designed to support 16 individuals for whom traditional Medicaid reimbursement supports are not appropriate or not available. So these individuals present to the agency in need of an out-of-home placement following incarceration or have needs that, due to their severity, cannot be supported in the currently available placement options. So these services will ensure that individuals are safely and appropriately supported. And yeah, that's for 16 individuals, and that cost is around $3.2 million, we've estimated for the full year. Priority number 3 is titled Maintenance of Effort for Financial Management Services. So this decision package is designed to comply with the requirements in our administrative contract with SCDHHS, as well as the 3 CMS approved waivers. I wanted to note that this is a Medicaid allowable administrative activity that is eligible for 50% Medicaid match, much like DHHS's operating waivers. An IRS-approved financial management services vendor will perform payroll and other employer responsibilities required by federal and state law for our participant-directed respite, attendant care, and home support services. Priority number 4 is titled Earmark Authority Reduction. So this decision package is designed to support this ongoing collaboration with DHHS, where we're converting our providers over from a prospective payment to a fee-for-service model. So when the last 2 years, we've sent general funds over to DHHS because the expenditures have moved, but we haven't reduced our earmarked authorization, which is part of that match, the FFP. And so we are reducing that by $200 million. It's not cash that we're giving back, it's just budget authorization. And the next, priority number 5, is titled the South Carolina Genomic Medicine Initiative at the Greenwood Genetic Center. So this decision package is designed to support GGC and their major genomic initiative. This non-reoccurring request of $2 million in new state funds is the 5th annual $2 million investment of a projected 5-year, $10 million state-funded initiative. So we normally include this in our budget request, and this is the last year of that, unless, they decide it's something they want to continue. Does anybody have any questions about our fiscal year 25 budget request?
The only one question I have is, under the supporting living assistance, they would only receive this money if they actually take somebody off of our waiting list, correct?
We haven't built policies around it or how that program will be structured, but there will be some, I guess you say, there will be some eligibility requirements, for this. So, but we have not developed that yet. This is just asking for the funding. And if we get the funding, then we can build the program around
So
that.
we'll hear more about it whenever you get.
Yes, sir.
So we're getting funding to initiate the program, so we're being.
We're trying to get the funding.
We're trying to get the money, and it's a competitive process between other agencies who are submitting their decision packages. So, we'll go to the governor's office next month to present our budget request, and then in January, we'll do the same thing in the House, and then in March, we'll do the same thing in the Senate. So, it's that competitive process where we're competing against other agencies for funding for these programs, so. Yeah, which we need.
My understanding is that when they're discharged from being incarcerated, it's somebody's responsibility, it's still the state's responsibility, so the money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And they, there are several avenues where they can go, but they're all based on who's already in that. So, we have IMDs, where they would go, but then we would step down to a state-funded home that's, that's got more restrictions, right? And then hopefully step down to like a high maintenance or high management home, and then, into that Medicaid eligible service. So it's, but they've got to, work their way from the top to the bottom, right? So it takes a little time, but if you have one of those cogs missing, it's hard to go straight from an IMD into a Medicaid residential habilitation service. It's just, we're skipping that step. We can't skip this step.
Funding, we have to send them out of state. It costs us 3 times as much.
Yeah, if there's not available beds, it does cost us 3 times more than this is send them out of state. That is a true statement.
Sure.
All right, if there's any more questions?
Hearing none.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Motion and second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor? Let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
So ordered. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
You
very much.
did get the attention of Mrs. Wheeler. Now, she had her pen in her hand for item 1 and 2. Okay. New business, okay. Tab 7, high maintenance solicitation. Where is Mrs. Priest? There she is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm coming to you requesting approval for DDSN to issue a solicitation for residential habilitation services. After Quincy's presentation, this may get a little confusing, so let me start by saying in the decision packages for the budget, item 1 was really about paying for room and board when people don't have the means to pay that. Item 2 was about having state funds to support people when Medicaid funding was not available. I'm here to talk about supporting providers so that they can support people by having the infrastructure to do so. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's an awful lot of residential talk. So just to clarify,
Thank you.
there's an immediate need in the state for people who are eligible for DDSN services, but they have very complex needs, very complex needs. Sometimes there are co-occurring conditions, meaning they have an intellectual disability and mental health concerns. Sometimes they may have an intellectual disability and a substance abuse disorder. Oftentimes we see people who have been charged with crimes and they are in jail awaiting release because they've been found not competent to stand trial. Sometimes those charges are felony, oftentimes those charges are felony charges. So there is some history there. Those are people who are very complex to support. And right now, the network of providers, or through the network of providers, we really don't have the infrastructure. We don't have places for people to go. So we do have people that are sitting in hospitals, they are sitting in jail, and they have no place to go. We are very fortunate that we have some providers who have embraced different populations of people. For example, their desire is to support people who have historically had criminal charges of some sort. So what we're proposing to do is to put a solicitation out for our currently approved residential habilitation providers to give us proposals on what it would take for them to stand up places where people in these circumstances can be supported. The request is that DDSN use one-time money. So we may buy houses, we may improve houses that are currently in disuse, we may purchase vehicles, furniture, that sort of thing, whatever it would take in order for a house to stand up. Once DDSN is paying for the money. What we are asking in return from the provider is, number one, that they be in good standing with DDSN. So through our quality management processes, we believe this provider is in good standing. And secondly, any bed that results from DDSN's money through this proposal would become a no eject, no reject bed, meaning we say, DDSN says who qualifies to be in one of these beds. And once the provider accepts the authorization for that person, they cannot say it's too tough, drop them off at the hospital and not come back and get them, or throw up their hands back and just say, I can't do it. So it's no eject, no reject. So once you take somebody, you keep them. And DDSN will decide. Now, we're not going to decide that provider A has to take Johnny. We will have a list of people, and the provider can help put together a mix of people who might appropriately live together. In some situations, we have people who, for their safety and the safety of others, it is not appropriate necessarily for them to live with other people. We would fund situations like that as well. The average cost per bed, and we would only pay the actual cost. We would not exceed the actual cost. So, but the estimate is about $85,000 per bed. We're hoping for a minimum of 28 beds through this process.
$85,000 per
Bed.
per month, per
Year.
year?
Well, that's just a one-time.
Oh, it's a
cost.
one-time cost. I'm sorry.
Cost.
It's a one-time cost, so 85 per
So the
bed.
maximum they could spend on this, the provider could spend would be 85,000 to get themselves ready. Is that what you're saying?
Per one bed.
One bed.
So you want
We're-
more beds.
The way the process would work is we would ask a provider to give us a proposal for a house, 2 houses, a house and 2 apartments, whatever situation they think they can bring forward to the agency and tell us what it would cost. It is a proposal that the agency would review. If the costs in the proposal are so exorbitant that we don't believe it is appropriate, or we would not be being good stewards of the state's money by accepting the proposal, then we would reject it. However, we believe that the proposal would come in, depending on the situation, around $85,000 for each bed. So if you're proposing to stand up a 4-bed CTH2, it would be approximately 85 times 4. I don't do math in my head. I don't even do it well with the calculator.
350,000.
That much money.
But the question is, my big question is, what is to prevent, or how do we prevent a provider from saying, okay, I want 85, I'm going to propose to you that I get $85,000 times three beds, and then I decide I'm going to open up, I'm going to use part of a facility I already have for this purpose, let's just say. And then 6 months down the road, they decide, well, you know, I've decided, while y'all fix this up for me now, I've decided I'm not going to take those people. Because I've decided that I can't take those people now.
We don't pay up front. We pay what they bill us. I'm looking at Quincy because he pays the bills. We don't pay until they bill us. So we will approve the proposal. These beds are no eject, no reject. If they will not take the people anyone that we put forward, then they will not take anyone. There will not be anyone who can be supported in that setting.
But we've already done the maintenance on
We
it.
would not have paid for it at that point.
So until they take the person, we don't pay the 85,000.
If the capital application that they submit is based on no eject, no reject, and they decide to close or not serve that population anymore, they're changing the use to another, not a state funded, and now they're going to go to a regular residency, then they would owe us that money back.
At
Because
this
they're
point,
changing the use based on
I'm just saying that the contract that we have though needs to say they owe us the money back if they
That's
don't.
the capital application should have that in there. I'm like 99% sure if
I'm
they
just saying
change,
that we need to have that in there.
if they
because-
change the use of the facility.
I'm not talking about changing these, I'm talking about if they decided, if they told you they were going to and then they decided not to. They didn't change the use, they just didn't do it. But they assumed they were gonna get this house redone or whatever they were gonna get done for the $360,000.
It's the same principle. So on that application, part of it, when you sign off, if you don't use the funds for what the intended purpose was, you have to give us the funds back. So if you have a provider, just say, they say, we're gonna build a house. House costs $350,000. We give them the $350,000. They then decide we're not gonna do what this house was intended for. They owe us that $350,000 back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, as long as it says that in there, that, I mean, as long as we're explicit, that they owe it back and that sort of thing. Because we've had, in years in the past, they've had problems with that kind of thing.
All right, but we'll make sure and we'll address that, and I'm sure she will.
Well, we are addressing it now, so I'm glad
I'm
we're
sure
addressing it now.
that, I'm sure that Janet and, we'll make sure that that's included. All right.
Chairman, could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Hey, this is David. I've seen how 5 or 6 years ago, something that related to, 4 years ago, it's when I first came on the commission, an issue came up out at Avalonia, which was in northern Greenville County, concerning the mandate. I think it's a federal mandate about restrictions on like locked doors and inability to leave. The requirement from the feds was such that, as I recall, we got caught, DDSN got caught sort of in a situation where the federal government, because of the kind of funding that we receive, could not restrict the coming and going of somebody. And some of these people, it created a problem of danger because some of these people were potentially violent, but it created an issue for the community. So, as I recall, what Avalonia was trying to do is get some kind of wording worked out that let them do some sort of restriction. And I don't know how that finally turned out. I'd never had any more conversation with anybody. But are we, number one, why is this not a Department of Corrections problem? They ended up getting a lot of mental cases because of Supreme Court decisions relative to if someone were not a danger, quote unquote, to himself or to others, then they could not facilitate him in a mental facility. And a lot of across the nation, a lot of these facilities were almost cleaned out. But what happened was many of these mentally challenged individuals committed crimes, and they ended up going to prison and had special units essentially created inside the prison systems of many of our states. And I don't know if South Carolina DOC has had to do that basically. But number one, why is this not a DOC problem? If we're talking about felonies and things like that, that should be something that they should be considering. If it turns out to be our problem, number two, why are we not going to run into the same thing about restrictions? I'm talking about locked doors and things like that the feds were not allowing, putting us and the builders of these and the people that ran these facilities. You had to apparently keep the doors unlocked, and that created a problem for the community, which put us as an entity conceivably in jeopardy if somebody got hurt by one of these people. So those two concerns I've got, and if Lori, could you help me with that?
I don't think that's.
I think I can help with that. So there's a lot to unpack in that. So let me start by saying, in 2014, 2016, the federal government issued a final rule around home and community-based waivers. Residential habilitation is a home and community-based waiver service. That regulation included specific things that you could and could not do in a setting where waiver services like residential habilitation were being delivered. You cannot have fences with locked gates. You can't lock people in. You can't do those kinds of things. Every state in the nation was given until roughly now, 2023, to come into compliance with those regulations. We understand that those regulations exist, right? Budget Decision Package 2 in the budget request talks about state-funded residential services. Some of the people who may require state-funded residential services are people who need additional safety and security measures, and that cannot, like locked doors or fences, and those services cannot be funded by a home and community-based waiver. That is why decision package number 2 in your budget is being requested, because we have some people that we cannot use Medicaid home and community-based waiver services to support their stay. So rather than getting residential habilitation through Medicaid for that person, the state will pay that portion for that person so that additional safety and security measures can be in place. The person can be safe, the others can be safe. As far as the people in these circumstances, I am not an attorney and I am not well versed in the court process. We have people who are judicially admitted to DDSN by court, and DDSN has to make sure that we are well aware of where that person is and that they are appropriately being supported. In some cases, that support means residential habilitation services, and you can get Medicaid if it's not locked, but we need we have people who may have, who are not judicially admitted, but based on the court, the judge, the public defender, their defense attorney, whatever, sometimes the decision is made that they are detained in jail until they can be placed somewhere with appropriate supervision, and they are eligible for DDSN services.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Thomas, here's what we will do. We're going to vote on this, and then before the solicitation goes out, each commissioner can get with Janice or whomever is necessary to make sure that it's within the guidelines of those things that we can do before it actually goes out to the street, okay?
Yeah, I would hope all the commissioners, Mr. Chairman, would keep in mind as we think about this, how to locate these facilities. We should not have them close to schools, because if somebody can get away, they're going to do damage probably within a radius of a couple of blocks of where the facility is. This raises lots and lots of questions that down the road we might want to have really considered maybe what other states are doing in our proposal in our request for proposal. The RFP maybe should talk about the issue just overtly of the potential dangers and how they are going to handle security. This becomes essential. I mean, we're taking on essentially the role of a Department of Correction in a way. So let's give this really a lot of real serious thought before we pull the trigger.
Okay, in the meantime, let's do this, and you will work very closely. The State Director wanted to add something. Go ahead.
What I want to say is I want to be clear that we're not taking on the role of Department of Corrections. That's not the intent of this solicitation, and that's not what we're doing. We're not correctional facility. And that's part of what that home and community base, it says that we have to put individuals in the least restrictive setting if we use Medicaid fundings. Well, sometimes the least restrictive setting is not the most appropriate for someone, for example, who's been charged with a felony for rape, who's judicially admitted to DDSN. It's not appropriate for us to put them in the least restrictive setting. So sometimes it requires us to put them in a more of a restrictive setting just for their safety and the safety of the community. But that doesn't then switch us to becoming a correctional facility. We're never, I don't want anybody to think that's what we're intending to do with this solicitation.
And another point, if I may, we do have a little bit of a continuum of support. So we have a place that's called Correct Care, where people can be supported based on their needs. That is a very secure setting. And then, but over time, those people's condition can improve. When their condition improves and they are ready for discharge from Correct Care, they need a place to go. And sometimes that is where we need the 28, when people are ready for that. We are not talking about, driving down to Kirkland Correctional and filling up a van at all. We're talking about making sure that people that need it, that are ready for it, can get it. And we simply need the beds. We need the infrastructure.
I hear what everybody's saying. I would just point out that some of these people, as has been said to us, might be in a facility. I mean, in a detention facility, and the purpose of this is not for us to become a holding tank. I would think. And Constance, I hear what you're saying. The question is it in effect what we're doing becoming an alternative to DOC or DJJ? DOC being determinate as far as sentencing going, and indeterminate as far as the DOJ. The question of who these people are, how they are classified by the court, and what responsibilities are on us, how we are effectively providing secure facilities. I don't know how you're quite differentiating what effectively is the case versus overtly is the case. We're not a DOC or a DJJ. However, there are similarities in this, and so as we build a facility that's a secure facility, people that are moved from an institution where they're locked up to this, I just everybody ought to just be very, very aware that this is a new. It's not new because we dealt with people that are potentially dangerous people, so it's not brand new. It's just this is a new dimension, I think. And Chairman, that's all I have to say about it. I hope everybody. It's just but it's a red flag to me. I was chairman of Corrections Committee in the Senate for about 6 years, so I'm sort of sensitive to the issue just a little bit. Okay, Chairman, thank you.
Okay, how would you frame that motion?
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Janet, go ahead.
I'm just going to say we already support people who are in these circumstances. We just have more of them than we've had before, which is why we need more beds.
I understand that. How would we frame this?
I think James will be asking for a motion to approve the solicitation for the high management.
Solicitation for residential rehabilitation services for people who have complex support needs.
And if there's any other gray areas, we can work that out in the solicitation.
Well, are we going to, Chairman, are we going to see the solicitation?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to see, I move that the solicitation be brought in front of the commission for examination without going to committee.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yeah.
it's in tab 7, okay?
What they're bringing to us today is in tab 7. Now, I don't know how much it says about exactly where they're gonna be located and whether it's gonna be near a school and things of that nature. I think that's something we need to.
That would be part of their
That's
submission.
going to be part of the, okay, of the solicitation.
Can we just bring this back up whenever we get some solicitations and see what solicitations we get and how many and things of that nature? Can this be brought back to us once this October 3rd, I mean, in like November or December, whenever we decide? I mean, whenever y'all decide how many we have and where they're planning on putting them and things of that nature?
Solicitation is not
Y'all will
going
decide
out.
whether they can be.
Right, we can decide that.
If we approve the solicitation today, though, once we get the solicitations from the providers, can we be briefed on what solicitations we got and which ones want this and where they're planning on putting the facility and things of that nature? That's what I'm asking for.
That's fine.
I'm just asking to come back.
There's not,
This
let me
comes
say
back
this,
to us.
there's not an issue with that. What we're gonna do today is that we're going to motion for the solicitation. Before it goes out, we are asking that we have an opportunity to review it before it actually goes out to bid.
Well, so,
No, they're bidding it now, but
so solicitation is tab 7. So what we would do is we would, put that solicitation out. What Commissioner Mathis is asking for is we receive proposals. He wants to look at the proposals before the agency accepts any proposals.
I would just like to see which one we were going to accept and
Okay.
just see a
Okay.
summary of what we were going to accept.
That's fine.
So that then.
Well,
they-
that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting, Mr. Chairman, is that the staff put together what we are looking for. And that would be the RFP before it's submitted, that we look to see, well, what are all the elements and has staff addressed certain things that maybe should be added in the solicitation or request for proposal. That's what I'm suggesting. I'd like to have a bite at the apple that says, here's the criteria, not these 4 things, but these 8 things that the responder needs to speak to in responding to the request for proposal. So I just want to see what they're saying. Or they're requesting what, and I want to see the solicitation.
Let me clear up something. Did you, Commissioner Thomas, have you seen tab 7?
I've got a copy of the agenda I just got this morning, but no, I have not read through 7.
That's
the solicitation is tab 7, David, in our packet.
Well, then how about this, Mr. Chairman? Rather than us get in the weeds on the essence of the weeds on the specifics of the solicitation, let us have to next month. If we could carry this over to next month and then vote on that, and if somebody like me or anybody else has what about, we could perhaps add those elements to the solicitation.
I mean, I would prefer not to push it out, because the longer we push it out, the more this need is not met. But if that's the commission desire, then.
Commissioners.
Tell me about what that you say the need is not met. Tell me what time constraints you feel we're under.
Well, so we have, right now, as we have the solicitation drafted, proposals are due by October 30th. So that means next month will be the first time we can look at the proposals. If we get
I understand it moves it a month. That's what I'm asking for. The question I've got is, what constraints are you under right now as executive director? Is somebody putting pressure on you to get this done by a certain date because 12 people are waiting? Before a house is built, it's going to be a year before the thing is built. So what is 30 days inside the totality of this?
Well, if you say what are the restraints are the phone calls we get daily about individuals that need to be placed. But I mean, 30 days is 30 days if we want to table it until next month.
Commissioners?
That's my question. What you said 30 days apparently is of the essence. Why? That's my question. And if all you're responding is, well, it's another 30 days, that doesn't answer my question. Mr. Chairman, I'm asking for 30 days that we carry over 30 days. I would like time to look and examine the solicitation.
That's fine.
And if there's any additional details they want to provide in the next few days, in addition to this, they can provide that.
That'll be fine. Here's what we're going to do.
Staff is very good in the past. Mr. Chairman, staff has been very good in the past getting to me and talking to me and explaining stuff that makes sense. And I'm sure that there's not going to be a problem. This is one of these big items that you can just run right past, and a year and a half or 2 years or 3 years, people will be saying, maybe not us, people will be saying, why'd you do that? Why didn't you include X, Y, and Z in this facility or facilities that you guys did? So this is a red flag issue to me.
Okay, here's what we'll do, and so that it's normally, and this month I put out 2 notices. I don't know whether you've seen them or not, wherein I had asked the commissioners to review what we were going to do in this meeting. Did you all recall seeing my email?
Yes,
Commissioner Perher?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay, so what?
I thought it was talking about the executive
No. That's not what I said in the email. And I sent it out twice. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll get a motion to table this until the next meeting. But at the same time, in the future, and I will always say to you, take a look at the agenda. If there's any questions or issues or concerns, be in touch with the state director, and then she'll take it from that point and make sure that before we get to the meetings, these things will be answered. But so I need a motion now to table item number 7, high management solicitation.
Chairman, I move to carry over or table whatever term you want to use till the next meeting, the solicitation under consideration.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
There's 3.
Okay, and I will reiterate in the future, I will always say to the commissioners to take a look at the agenda. If there are any questions or concerns, to reach out to State Director and get those resolved before our meeting. Thank you very, very much. We have now the Director's update. Director Holloway.
I'm going to start my update with, as I started in the past couple of months with keeping up with our employee spotlights. I want to spotlight PD Center has chosen to recognize Carnita Donham, one of the mental health professionals. Carnita started at DDSN in February of 1982. Her co-workers at PD consider her a major asset to the psychology department and says she serves as a leader, a team player, and has built strong relationships with many of the challenging consumers. Kanita has been with DDSN for more than 40 years, and we thank her for her dedication to giving our consumers the best possible care. Next, I'd like to cover some agency updates as well as some fun and exciting things that we've been doing here at DDSN. For starters, I want to thank Melissa and her team for everything they've done in regards to the HASKI division and celebrating Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month by hosting weekly activities and drawing prizes. And as she mentioned before, we love sweets, so anytime we can have an excuse to have a bake sale, we do that here at DDSN. Additionally, HASKI has worked with communications on issuing a news release for the Awareness Month and articles featuring individuals with SCI who participate in adaptive sports. These articles are being featured weekly, internally, and on social media. All the commissioners have before them a copy of those articles. Communications and HASKI took the liberty. And one of those articles, we have our very own Commissioner Woodhead's daughter, McKenna, who plays adaptive tennis at Clemson. We appreciate McKenna and all the individuals who are highlighted, being willing to share their story. Not only are these stories highlighted in this folder for the commissioner, but they're also being highlighted out on our televisions with around the agency. Additionally, our autism division continues conducting training with law enforcement agencies around the state, including one that they did yesterday in Greenville. They also gave refresher courses to staff at Whitten and Millens and are currently looking to hire several licensed psycho-educational specialists for both regional centers. Our engineering and planning team continues overseeing various projects at our regional centers. Projects recently started including a pool infill at Midland Center, bathroom renovations at PD, and lighting replacements at Whitten Center facilities. Projects recently completed include dental clinic repairs and ceiling replacements at Midlands and autism flooring replacement at Coastal. I'd also like to mention a couple of recent events in support of our regional centers, including the Coastal Parents Group Golf Tournament. All the available slots for the tournament were filled, and the Parents Group raised more than $5,000 that will support our consumers at Coastal. The families that support Coastal Center always do great work, and we appreciate their hard work and their willingness to work with DDSN. Commissioner Miller kind of stole my thunder on this, but lastly, I want to mention the groundbreaking ceremony at Whitten Center last Thursday, the interactive sensory garden. Commissioner Miller and I spoke along with Senator Burton and Representative Gillum. Craig Byrd was also a speaker, and we also had the previous facility administrator, Randy. Randy was there and also spoke, and also the Mayor Clinton. Also, Whitten staff did a great job making sure consumers were able to attend, and the communications team did a fabulous job and sent media invites that resulted in 3 TV stations, 2 newspapers covering the groundbreaking. I also got my gold shovel. It's still in the trunk of my car, and my hard hat. I'm looking forward to that event. I was very excited about that event. It was done spectacular. Kudos to Harley's team, Derek and communications, all the hard work that Craig Byrd and Tommy McDaniel put into, and the engineering team put into. I don't want to miss anybody. Rob McBurney, everybody did a great job. It was a great event. I am so looking forward to the end result and looking forward to the ribbon cutting. I don't know if they'll give us a hard hat for that. Probably not. We'll just get some big scissors.
Yes, yes.
I want some gold scissors, Harley. Can you know? So we were very excited and very fortunate to be able to do that last week, and we're looking forward to the end results. That's all the updates that I have about the exciting things that we're doing here at DDSN.
So let McKenna know that I have my racket. I don't know what to do with it, but I do have it.
I'll let her know.
And Janet, I noticed, Ms. Lemon, as you were speaking, I never seen that. And she was study writing. So it's good to have you all here.
Thank you.
And know that our job is to work on behalf of those with disabilities and special needs. Okay?
Thank you.
Our doors is always open. All right?
Thank you so much.
Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss legislative audit council draft report? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So. Out of executive session, no motions were made, no votes taken. So at this time, are there any other discussions?
I think as far as mentioning, there were no decisions made either.
Right, no motions, no vote, and no decision.
Right.
No vote means no decision.
Right, that's right.
Okay?
Go ahead.
All right.
Well,
So commissioners, any other questions, issues, or concern? Hearing none, I'm asking now for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All in favor? Ayes have it.
Aye.
We adjourn.
thank you.